Now, you mentioned the UK, and of course, where immigration issues and the issue of illegal immigration are very high on the list of political priorities. But I want to talk about their fiscal situation there, with the budget being handed down and tax increases all round for Brits. Here's the Chancellor.
I recognise that we are asking people to contribute more by freezing those allowances. They were already frozen by the previous government from 2021 to 2028, and we're freezing them for a further 3 years. And I do recognise that is asking ordinary people to pay a little bit more.
Asking British taxpayers to pay a little more. Now, the reason I want to get your assessment on what's happening there, Alexander, is whether it's a portent of things to come in Australia, where, of course, we have massive deficits, massive debt, inflation still running out of control. Should we worry that we're heading in the same direction?
The Australian government has the same, if you like, ideology as the British Labor government. There's no doubt about that. There is an obsession with expanding entitlements, payments to people, expanding eligibility without taking into consideration the cost of doing these things. I mean, it's all very well if the economy is growing robustly, if business is investing heavily and making substantial profits from their investments, driving economic growth. It's all very well for governments then to tax them and spend money. But the exact reverse is happening here in the UK, and as it is in Australia. Growth has almost ground completely to a halt. The government has continued to spend more and more money, and so they either borrow the money or they increase taxes. At some point, the markets will jack up and make it very difficult for them to borrow money, very expensive to borrow the money, so they have to increase taxes. And the trouble with that is this is a doom loop. As they increase the taxes, they slow down the economy still more. They slow down the economy, they slow down the revenue that they could otherwise get from higher rates of economic growth, and yet they continue their spending. This is a formula that was tried in the 60s and the 70s in the UK. It failed then, and not surprisingly, it's failing now. And those who don't learn the lessons of history, as Winston Churchill said, are doomed to repeat the mistakes of history. And that is exactly what you're seeing in the UK, and it's happening in Australia. Slowly, but the same thing is happening in Australia.
Spot on, Alexander. For a smaller government agenda. We will see where it all unfolds. Thanks for joining us again.
It's a pleasure, Chris.